What is going on, DGen Nation? Kenny Kim here, bringing you another Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast this week for the Travelers Championship. As usual, I am here with everybody's favorite South African, Byron Lindeque. Byron, what is up, my friend?
Kenny, another signature event, US Open. Sunday was arguably one of my favorite days of golf ever.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Before we move on, we are sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Go to Underdog Fantasy, use promo code Mayo. Get yourself a deposit bonus up to $250. Yeah. Sunday, it was such a great week of golf. I mean, just from start to finish.
For you.
Storylines that you had from Bryson to Rory, of course, Cantlay showing back up. Pavon, a little mini big game hunter out there coming from nothing, not even winning a DP World Tour event a year ago to, almost winning this tournament. We saw the struggles of Hovland. We saw the struggles of JT. We probably saw the end of Tiger Woods, more than likely. I don't think he's going to compete ever again. He might come up to these things and play, but, since his broken leg, he's just not the same person, and I don't think he ever will be again. So bunch of crazy storylines, but of course, what everyone is going to remember is what happened yesterday to Rory McIlroy on 16 and 18.
Just tap it in. Just tap it in.
Like most of you guys know, I haven't been like the biggest Rory fan throughout the time here on the show. I've definitely flipped a little bit in the last year because him getting fucked over by Monahan, him getting fucked over by the tour board, him going out and not saying stuff that's on his mind, right? Not something that seems scripted from what the policy board or whoever, his agents or his handlers, they want him to say. It seemed like he was, this is Rory. And so I've gone sort of about a 180 on him. I respect him. I know, I've always respected his game. But I would say even when I hated Rory, I would not have wanted to see this happen. Like the pain that he must have felt. I mean, just thinking about it sort of like wells me up. I mean, I can't imagine someone who works that hard on a daily basis on their job to make mistakes like that, right? Something that he doesn't do. 496 in a row inside 3 feet. And to miss that, to lose the US Open, in my opinion, I mean, this is the biggest choke job that we've seen. It's up there with Van de Velde, and it's up there with Greg Norman in 96. And I think, a lot of people are saying Van de Velde was a stupid decision. He didn't have to do what he had to do. That's true, but Van de Velde wasn't supposed to win that tournament. He wasn't the best player in the world. He wasn't arguably the best golfer of our generation, post-Tiger. And to miss that, and because the thing is, like, I felt like if he won this event, right, he could get 6, he could get 7. Like 4 is great, right? It's unbelievable, but like 5 and 6 are like elite. There's a lot of players that have floor, right?
I think it's like 13 guys ahead of them. If you get to 6.
Yeah, if you get to 6, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. And, he would have stamped it, and he would have gotten another, right? I mean, if he was able to win this event after 10-plus years, Justin Ray hit me up. I asked him a question on X today. How many golfers have won a major more than 10 years after their last major? He gave me Hale Irwin, which I remember. You can't forget Hale Irwin running around high-fiving everyone around the greens. It might be a little bit before your time, Byron, because that was what, 90, 91, 92?
A birthday, yeah.
And then Tiger, of course, the Masters. A Core did it. Some guy named Core, or I don't know, some guy, and then Crenshaw did it. And like Tiger, Henry Cotton, Crenshaw, and like maybe 2 more ever. And like we're going way back with Henry Cotton, right? I mean, like this is in the history of majors, not like recent times. If Justin Ray couldn't tell me the other 2, my guess is they're from way back in the day. Another thing is, you look at the last 40 major winners, I think 3 have been over 35. Stenson, in 2016, Tiger 2018, and there's one more in there, right? Of guys.
Sink likely.
Did he win a major?
Open?
Sink has never won a major.
He beat Tom Watson a few years ago. I don't know. Maybe
that was when fucking Sink was young. Yeah, that was when he was young.
I'm getting
cross. So times. I mean, like, it doesn't happen, right? I don't think he'll win another one. I don't think he'll win. I like, now I want him to. Like, a year ago, I would never say, I want Rory to win. Like, if he does win another major, I would be the happiest son of a bitch ever. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. And it's amazing, like, those two putts can change your legacy and the trajectory of your career and how people look back on it. Devastating. I was super happy for Bryson. Like, I had a lot of Bryson. I love Bryson. I've said that we need more Bryson. He's like my favorite golfer, right? Like, he's my favorite golfer. I was rooting for him to win. But God damn it, I didn't want to see what happened to fucking Rory. It's literally devastating. Like, if that shit happened to me, there's no way I'm talking to the media. And he's catching a lot of flack for that. Look, I get why people are saying that, because I mean, like, so, Van der Velde did it, Greg Norman did it, Phil's done it, after blowing shit. Why can't Rory do it? But I couldn't go back and talk to people, and I knew he was going to withdraw, and he withdrew from this event. Like, I would literally just sit in a dark room for 3 months till I had to go, 3 weeks, so I had to go play the Open Championship again. Like, I can't think of anything else that, like, doesn't involve, like, my home team, that doesn't involve the Washington Capitals, that has hurt me that bad. And, like, I didn't have any money on them. Like, I had more Bryson than Rory in DFS. I had both, but I had more Bryson than Rory. I didn't bet Rory. I didn't have anything. And, like, it was so, I just couldn't even, it was so painful, man. Oh man, it was horrible. What did you think of the event? I mean, it was great. The watching it was unbelievable. The coverage, if you had multiple TVs, it was amazing. Because I'll tell you right now, if Peacock does this shit again, watch it on the Sky Sports feed. Sky Sports feed was on Peacock. No playing through. None. No playing through. They just show the shots. There's no
have to listen to Nick Faldo.
Yeah, it's fine. I thought, okay. And we'll talk about Brandel too, but let's hear your thoughts on the event.
Cool. So I watch on the Sky Sports feed because I have the streaming app that I use for all my stuff, and I can relate. This is like Aaron Rodgers snapping his Achilles on the fourth play of the Jets season for me. But I wrote something up about Rory because I read Kyle Porter's, just dragging Rory through the mud about leaving and all that stuff. So I kind of came to Rory's defense, even after, I made a post earlier about how he's not in this, like, mental capacity to kind of, the reason I was off him this week is because of all this marital stuff, and you got to have your shit together. But he did for what? 69 holes, right? And then those final three were just the pressure, man. The amount of pressure.
Three bogeys in the last four.
Yeah, but the two putts were like, ooh, like really, really bad. And did you see where he hit that golf ball on that final putt? It was like he hit the middle of the ball on the putt, with the bottom of his club. It was not a good putt. But I came to his defense. I think he does, he's given us so much, we can give him that. Like, if you want to leave, that's okay, bud. Like, that was one of the darkest moments of his life, because he's not going home to a family that, like, really loves him and supports him right now. Going back to a family he's trying to fix. It's been 10 plus years that he's been doing this, 3.5 feet. And then he's losing to this guy that's basically a Rory incarnate now. Like, Bryson is a beefier, better looking version of Rory, way more entertaining. And I think he got beat by a better version of himself, which is even worse, and it's the guy that's making tons of money over at Liv. It's just a tough scene for him. My biggest takeaway is, what the hell is Scotty Scheffler getting up to in these freaking majors that are not involving a green jacket? It's not looking good for Scotty, man. Like,
look, the thing is, for Scotty, his weakness is fast greens. like crazy fast, non-bent greens.
And massively wide fairways that he couldn't hit this week.
Well, no one could. I mean, Bryson didn't hit. He had what, like 4, 5?
Rory was top 10 in driving accuracy, Kenny.
I know.
He's one of the most generational drivers of our time, not with distance, but just repetition. This was the week to just rep out 310-yard drives out there and hit the middle of the fairway, hit the middle of the green, make those 2 putts. That's what Scotty should have. He just couldn't figure it out. So I don't know what his deal is.
Ball striking, he was like first or second or top 5 in
on approach, because he's hitting from the weeds all the time, you know.
Yeah.
Stay off the weeds, Scotty. You know, like get your stuff together there, brother. But that was an issue for me. Xander, Xander came through, baby. My 40-1 top 10 ticket for all 4 majors is still on fire.
Still live.
Yeah,
that's
baby.
money.
So
that's money.
I can't hit outrights, but I can hit 40-1 top 10. So I'll be hedging out of that for sure. I'm going to go Xander 11th or worse in the Open Championship if I can find that market somewhere. And call it a day. I'm not going to let it ride going into a weather wave situation or something weird like that. But I'm glad I let that roll. He's becoming, I mean, he had his C game and finished 7th. I mean, Xander's becoming a problem, folks. So
no, like, okay. So I really wanted to use him in cash this week because, I mean, Xander's floor is incredible right now, right? I mean, now you could probably say he's more consistent than Scheffler, right? Because he doesn't have any
games rounded. Yeah.
He doesn't have any 35th place finishes, right? He doesn't have that on in the season. Like everything's been top 20 for him. I really thought about using him in cash this week, and I probably should have, but I went down a little bit. We'll talk about that here as we go on. But when it comes to bets, of course, I did hit the Lindeque each way. So for the year, that was my 18th each way hit this season, right? Thank God for each way. So I've had 5 outrights. I've had 5 outrights, so it's not like horrible, right? Yeah. But 18 each way just literally just keep me alive, right? And actually up for the year. So if you can find the book that has the each ways, I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't do that, because it's just a great way to at least win your money back that you've lost that week, right? But DFS wise, last week we talked about it. I was going between Koepka and Bryson in cash. Of course, I went fucking
Brooks.
Koepka, because I thought his floor was higher, and maybe it would be, but we'll never know. It's going back to Bryson a little bit. Well, what an amazing transformation the guy has had. I've always liked him because he brought something different that we haven't seen to the game. And, you know, he has his cringeworthy moments, which are, you know, I think he just wants to be likable, and like he says stuff. He's trying to be likable, but it comes off in like a weird way. He still does that occasionally, but it's more goofy now that we see him with all the content that he's bringing out, the YouTube shows. You really get to see his personality. I know a lot of people are calling him phony. Here's the thing, right? Like when I'm at work, I don't act like I normally do. My ass will get fired, right? I mean, like if I'm talking about strippers and eating edibles and fucking whatever all the fucking time at work, I'm not going to be having that job for very long.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that's just a normal thing. So even if it is phony, even if it is for the cameras, whatever, it's working for him. And it's not just that. I think Liv has helped him more than anything else. Just because what I think he's doing is in his breaks, he's like trying to figure out shit that will make his game better. And he uses Liv to practice. Because I don't even think he's finished top 10 in the Liv event this year.
He's actually, I took a look. It's been pretty good, but not a single win. Like he hasn't contended once.
Is he even at a top 5?
It's pretty close, but
top 5. I think he's going out there and just trying to figure out shit that will help him add majors. I think that's all he cares about. Because what did he finish? 6th, 2nd, and 1st in the 3 majors now? I mean, that's what I think he's doing. He has all this free time. He doesn't have to, you know, go play in all these events all the time. And in his free time, he's trying to come up with 3D printed irons that have curved faces. He's coming out with a ball that mud won't stick to it. And like, he was talking about some crazy shit about like the alignment of his golf ball and how it's off because they can't get everything perfect. So he soaks his balls in Epsom salt overnight. I mean, this guy's just trying all this new shit, and that's a good thing. Like, it's really cool to see shit like that. And he's coming across better. He's always been a fan favorite. Like the shit that you're seeing with him signing autographs, and like that shit's not new. Okay, he was doing that when everyone hated Bryson, and he was still doing that. Now, maybe there weren't as many autographs to sign, right? But he was still doing that back then. And his transformation, I think he's going to be the reason. I mean, there's this one guy posted something how, Rocket Mortgage at Bryson, they have a really, really good relationship, right? The PGA Tour agreement supposedly is going to be released tomorrow, right? Wouldn't it be the best thing ever to just go ahead and put Bryson in that field? Sponsors exemption right there, just to unite everybody after this agreement. Somebody posted that on X, and I was like, what a great idea, right? Just to bring people together, to bring golf united once again. Use the most united person who's bringing everyone together, it's perfect. I really hope that they think about doing that, because that would just be smart for everybody, a win-win for everybody, including the fans who have basically gotten fucked in this whole process, right? We're the one group of people in this process that has just been getting screwed over and over and over again, right? The LIV guys leaving, they got their money. The PGA Tour guys, they're able to settle to this crazy new shit that they got with all this money that they're never going to be able to afford unless they get pissed. Now,
Kenny, we've been waiting for the villain to show up against Scotty. Scotty is the villain towards Bryson.
Yeah.
That's what we need. And with LIV and the PGA not synced up, we're not getting that. And Scotty's not showing up at these majors. We need him to show up at the Open, because he needs to be the villain to subdue Bryson. I think that would bring, imagine people started hating Scotty when he starts beating Bryce, because he can. He's got the game. He's got the mental fortitude to do that. I think we've got it all wrong. We'd be looking for the villain for Scotty. Scotty needs to be the villain. And I think versus Bryson and Scotty, that would be a hell of a time, because
Scotty's not a good face. If you're into wrestling, Scotty's
boring.
Not a good face.
No.
Right? He's not. He's just super boring. Can't do shit on the mic. Saying no good promo skills.
No.
He can't do that shit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he'd be better as a heel.
He's like Kane, he just comes up there and just choke slams people every Sunday.
Every week he just does his shit.
Yeah.
But the course was great. The course was fine.
It was amazing.
It was a perfect weekend. I mean, I can't think of a 4 days of golf that I enjoyed more than those 4 days. And I know people were bitching about the coverage, but if you can get the multi-screens going in your house, like, the coverage was awesome. It was awesome. If you're able to get the multi-screens, if you're able to do it, because, Sky Sports would show everything that and shots that even the broadcast wasn't showing. Sky Sports would skip the stuff that was happening in the featured groups that, you wouldn't see on the regular U.S. feed. Also, it was mostly just the U.S. feed, but during playing through, there was no commercials on Sky Sports. They just showed the shots with commentary. And then you had 3 featured groups in the morning, 3 featured groups, in the PM wave. The coverage is great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The ending was spectacular. The shot Bryson hit probably will go down as one of the greatest shots in major history, I would think, because that is, as a golfer, as a really good golfer, at least at one point in your life playing in college, a 60-yard bunker shot could be the hardest shot in golf.
He did the right thing.
The most difficult shot in golf.
Yeah.
In his LIV profile, he's like, the shots you hate to hit. This is like 55-yard bunker shots. And to do what the fuck he did on that. And then Johnson Wagner last night. Oh my God, that was incredible. Johnson Wagner's a fellow Hokie. I went to school with him at Virginia Tech. I didn't know him. but we went together at the same time. And it's nice seeing a Hokie get some run like that, because what a shot. His shot was better than Bryson's. It wasn't in the dark. In the fucking dark. His shot was better than Bryson's. With Bryson there telling him what the fuck to do after he bladed the first shot into the roof of the Pinehurst fucking country club. And then they actually, Smiley Kaufman had a tweet earlier today talking about, I wonder how many, balls are sculled out of the bunker. And Pinehurst Resort was like, you can't imagine how many fucking golf balls we find on the roof of the clubhouse on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's
right. Just incredible. I was great for golf. I can't wait. The Raiders better be fucking insane. Because
oh my God.
Kenny, they got to be good.
Just to tie out Payne Stewart as we get out of here, like the whole Payne Stewart tribute and the hat and all of that. Payne Stewart had to lay up on the final hole.
Yep.
Knocked it to where he did for the putt.
Yep.
From 77 yards. Bryson had to do the same thing. Yeah, he essentially laid up to a 55-yard range and got up and down. And
I thought Bryson was pretty fucking stupid to hit the shot that he did for his approach. Like he actually was trying to roll it up to the green. And I was like, okay, but if you miss, you could hit it into the bunker, which he did.
We did. Yeah.
I was like, just ship it out of there, like 40 yards ahead, hit a wedge, and hope you make par. Right? I mean, that's what that would have been way easier than what the fuck he just did, trying to hit it out of that bunker on a 55-yard bunker shot.
And what does he do if Rory makes par? How does he hit that shot then? Because he knows he can't make bogey and go to a playoff. He has to make par. Yeah. I would have been like, Rory took so much away from us on that final hole, but at the same time, 70, 71 of them were amazing there.
What do you think about Brandel?
I don't know, because I'd watched the Sky Sports.
Oh, you watched Sky.
So I don't. Okay. But what I understood is he was a douche. Like the entire time.
Because I like Brandel. I met him. Yeah. He was extremely kind to me. He let me sit down at his table with a bunch of Golf Channel guys at the 2019 Players Championship. He sat down. We sat at his table. I talked to him for like half an hour. Right? He didn't have to do this. We were in Nona Blue over at G-Max restaurant right there in Sawgrass. And he, I was like, oh, I'm a big fan of you guys. Can I buy you guys a round of drinks? Of course, he was drinking a $50 scotch. I still got it for him. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, yeah, you can join us here for a little bit. I sat down, joined him at the table, talked to Bryson, sat next to Brandel, asked him a whole bunch of questions. His big thing is be yourself. It doesn't matter if people don't like the way you are. If they can tell that you're being, yourself and who you really are, it'll come across on your show, and people will believe you more, and people will be more apt to listen to you over and over again. Now, he goes a little bit extreme, of course, because that's just who he is, right? That's who he is. So the thing is, like, he praised Bryson a bunch about the turnaround and everything. Now, okay, he might have went a little bit overboard with the shit about being lucky. But Bryson was pretty fucking lucky. You know what I'm saying? Like that whole final round, there was a lot of luck. Now, I just don't think that the Wiregrass was as big of a issue overall in the grand scheme of things as I and a lot of others thought it might be. Even though it grew in a bunch, it was still, look at the leaderboards, bombers, right? Bombers. Guys hitting it into the Wiregrass, fucking Bryson hitting 5 of 14 fairways and only shooting +1, which is not bad at the U.S. Open, especially when you have a 3-stroke lead, right?
But the beauty, Kenny, of that course is the fact that you're coming from that situation. He hit 1 of 14 greens, I think, from the Wiregrass. So he got lucky. He could still hit the shots, but he wasn't hitting the green. Yeah. And he was just getting up and down all the time. That
Short
was what...
game, but his save on 8,
insane.
Sick. Like that shot that he hit, like, I don't think anybody parred that hole, right? From where he was. And that was one of his biggest downfalls early in his career, right? Like, everyone's like, his short game, because of the clubs being the same size, he can't get good at it. it looked pretty fucking good this past week, right?
That's what I misunderstood about his game. I totally didn't realize he's going to be that good chipping and putting. You know, like
I knew his putting was good. His putting is good.
Yeah.
But I mean, short game has improved so much from when he first started.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see him I mean, I wish he didn't have to come to this, but I can't wait to see him with the PGA Tour players again in different events. It's going to happen. Hopefully this agreement brings something and we can see these guys play against each other a little bit more than maybe 4 times a year. Now, I know that some people said that the reason why people like Bryson is because they only have to deal with him 4 times a year. You might be right about that, right? Because Bryson just tends to say stupid shit all the fucking time. It's just in his nature, right? I don't think he means to do it, but it just happens pretty often. Like the one thing I thought that could really fuck him this week was the naming of his clubs. I was like, dude, come on, right? I mean, this is just so weird, bro. I mean, it's so weird, man. You didn't need to bring this out. If you were that was like the one hiccup he had all week, right?
But Kenny, he says so much. 1% of the time, anyone's going to say something stupid. He just says 1,000 more things than everybody. So he just says 1,000 more dumb things, you know.
Yeah, pretty incredible stuff. I really enjoyed the week. Anything else we want to talk about before we move on?
We'll be chatting about somebody that, you know, we can bring up Sam Burns, if we want. All
right, so let's talk about Burns. We had the bet last week, all right?
Yes.
So mine was I had Burns beating Minwoo, of course. Byron was the Minwoo fan. My guy Sammy Burns came in through clutch, his first top 10 at a major ever to beat Minwoo. So of course we were trying to figure out the bets and stuff. We decided to go with Escalar. I don't know if we decided, but I decided. Well, once I didn't lose.
Someone in the comments also mentioned
it. Someone in the chat mentioned it. And so here's what I'll do, Byron, for you. Okay, we can either stop now, and I'll send you the Escalar. You got to cook it. You got to eat it an hour and a half before the podcast starts one day, and you only got to eat 8 ounces. Now, if you want to run it back, double or nothing at the Open Championship, and you lose, you got to eat a pound of that bitch, the whole pound. You got to eat the whole 16 ounces that sushi grade Escalar that I send you. Are you in?
Let's run it back, baby.
All right, we're running it back. We're running it back. Like, remember, I ate 10 ounces and shit was running down my butthole.
Yeah.
All right, 16 ounces.
You know what? Shitting yourself is binary. If you shit yourself with 8 ounces, you shit yourself with 16 ounces, who gives a shit? You're going to shit yourself. It is what it is. I'll get myself, just send it. I'll buy the Depends myself.
No, I'll tell you right now, the one thing that happens to you when you hit the age of 40, right, is those farts that you got that you're like not quite sure. You're like, hey, is this a fart or is this a shit? Like, you don't know. Like, prior to 40, when you let one of those rip, 99.99999% of the time, you're good. You're good. Once you turn 40, it's like 98.
It goes from plus money to minus 110.
I've had like more since I've turned 40 than I have like ever in my life since I was a kid. So there you go. All right, that includes the Escalar shit happened in my 30s. So there you go. I will tell you that it's something that you need to worry about. And then now we're talking about that as well. So you're in. That's what we're gonna do.
Yes, let's run it back.
Guy, they got to be close in price and shit. Like
it's Sam Burns versus Minwoo Lee.
We're doing Burns versus Minwoo.
Let's go. We run that shit back. I don't know if I
want that bet at the Open Championship.
We're going with the same boys.
Oh, okay.
It's double or nothing. You don't have to eat anything. I just don't have to do anything. You can't just pick and choose. We're going back. We're setting the same.
All right, we'll run it back. We'll run it back. All right. So then now we did, of course, that came off a comment on our YouTube page. Now the winner, like I said, we started this back up last week, where you go to our YouTube page at the end of the show, go to the comment section, pick the winner of the event, right? And then also put down your DraftKings name in the YouTube comments. The first person to correctly pick the winner, okay? So if you're doing this and you look through the comments and your guy that you're picking has already been picked, there's really no point picking him again, right? So So you listen early Monday night, so you can be one of the first ones. Go out there, hit the comments. Our guy this past week, we did it again. His name is David Hollins, 440. That is his YouTube name. Big Dumb Animal 19 is his DraftKings name. He was the first person to pick Bryson as the winner. So I will be inviting him to a 3-man against Byron and me. If Big Dumb Animal 19 beats me and Byron, he gets to go. You get an entry into our Tournament of Champions at the Sony Open next year, 2025. We'll also bring back all the ones who won the Listener League in this year prior to Tambo leaving. Tambo still has all those records. He'll send that over to us. And we will do a Tournament of Champions for prizes and cash and all that good stuff. So make sure you go to YouTube, watch us on YouTube, hit the comment section, pick the winner, and do your thing. All right? I was going to talk about something else, but I totally forgot. Oh, our weight loss shit. Now that we're talking about it. Byron, I hear you're doing all right, right? What are you doing?
Down 16 pounds. I've been biking. I've been eating good. Just trying to stick with you, Kenny, but it sounds like you had a fun little weekend. So I want you to tell the people so you can feel really bad about it so that you can keep going.
So I don't know, like about a couple months ago, I stepped on the scale and I was like 262.4 pounds. Like the most I've ever been in my life. I was like, this shit is fucking crazy, right? So I had to go on a diet. I had to lose a bit of weight. The doctor's like, you're going to die. And I was like, all right, I don't want to die yet. And so I've been on this weight loss thing, right? Trying to do it, trying to stop being fat. I've done it before, right? But it's never stuck. But this time I sort of put it out on social media, right? And there's a couple of things that have helped with that. First off, it sort of forces me to do what I need to do to lose this weight because I put it out there. I'm making it part of like my content. If I go out there and just gain 10 pounds, I'm like, what the fuck, Kenny? Right? Now, also, another thing that I really didn't expect was the amount of support that I have received during these last 2 months. People encouraging me on a daily basis, stuff like that. And it's really motivated me to try and keep this going. Last week I lost 4.5 pounds in a week. Up until Saturday, I was finally down more than 15 pounds. I was at like 247 plus, like 248, 247.8. Well, I started at 262 or 262.4, some shit like that, right? So I'm almost down 15 pounds. And so I was like, great. Last week I did multiple walks a day. I was averaging like 12,000 steps. I was really getting it going. Saturday, we go play golf. I have a nice dinner and we start drinking, and I just drink a shit ton of fucking Crown Royal. Didn't eat anything after like 4 p.m., but a lot of brown liquor, right? And then Sunday, I had a regular breakfast, bacon and eggs. And then for around 5 o'clock, I'm hungry and I ordered dinner. I decided to get like seafood boil. So I got like 2 pounds of snow crabs, a pound of king crab, 15 scallops, a dozen shrimp, some sausage, and like 12 potatoes that come in these, in one of those bags full of just butter and garlic and spicy sauce and shit like that. It's great. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and like eat half of this. I'll break all the crab, put it in a Tupperware, save it, nuke it the next day, eat it. Watching Rory, watching Bryson, doing all this stuff, hoping Hideki keeps his each way, praying somehow Morikawa gets back and gets into the each way zone, hoping Burns beats mid-woo and all this stuff. And I'm like basically stress eating, right? And by 8 o'clock, when Rory loses and Bryson wins, I look down and I've eaten everything. I just weighed myself right now. I'm back to like 251.3, gained almost 4 pounds in a span of 24 hours. Like, you can't have cheat days when you do this. It's crazy. Well, like,
Kenny, your cheat days are ridiculous, though. I mean, that
true.
Shit is like,
that's true.
Dude.
Woo! That's true. Yeah, my cheat days are different because I mean, like, the thing is, I used to eat like that like 3 or 4 times a week. Right?
It's a good start, but now let's do like not do a cheat month, just do a cheat day. Like eat for like half a village, not a full freaking village this time.
Yeah, well, I was planning on it, but I I just couldn't. I was just watching and just stress fucking eating, right? Because I mean, it was just it was so much fun to watch, and it was just so intense, and it was just coming down to the wire. That back nine was just fucking theater, right? I mean, like it was, and so I just fucking crushed it. So we're doing the pod right now. It's like 6:30. It's 98 degrees outside, but I will go for my walk once this pod is done. And we'll try and lose those 4 pounds that I gained in one day. All right. But yeah, I do appreciate all the support. It's been great. Thank you so much. And I'm going to try. The goal is to get to 230 by the time I'm in Montreal. So I got like 3 months to lose 20 pounds. And like the first 10 pounds were like easy. It happened in like 15 days. Right. And I was and I was so happy that I was almost lost those 5 pounds because that shit took another 6 weeks. Right. But then I gave it all back for nothing. That's so crazy. You can't even fuck up for one day. And
I know.
I don't know if I have willpower, but
you need to get like a treadmill, Kenny, that when you like you as you're eating one, it just adds like an extra 500 yards to how far you have to walk. You know, like
I know,
per
right?
crab leg, you just got to add like we got to come up with like a macro table for you to like kind of elliptical your way through your meals.
I had an elliptical, I threw it away. I have a bike, stationary bike. Here, I'm looking at it right now, just covered in cobwebs and dust. Just it looks like it belongs in like a haunted house, right? You know what I'm saying? Just fucking cobwebs and the dust. Like if I move that thing, it'd be like, and it'll just be like a dust explosion right there. But I like walking. I like being out in the sun. It's crazy. I saw this thing today about the best things to help depression, and number 2 was walking outside. And I have to say, it's fucking true. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, like getting outside and getting just a little bit of sun, like, and like doing that type of exercise. Like I try to walk like 6 miles a day. Right. And so like, you would think I'd be tired after the walk, but like it gives you fucking energy. It's so weird. It's wild to me. Right. That's how long it's been since I really worked out. Like I was like, what the fuck? Why do I have so much energy? I was like, oh, I just walked 3 miles. So I have a shit ton of fucking energy. It's weird shit, but it's helping me. Once again, thank you. But let's move on. We probably spent like 40 minutes on this intro. It's going to be a long one. So let's go ahead. Before we move on, let's have a word from our sponsor. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. It's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. I personally like the Pick'em games. Pick whether your favorite players will have a higher or lower stat total in this week's game for a chance to win big. Can win up to 100 times your money in a single night. Pick between 2 and 5 players to build a pick'em entry. Can also make rivals picks, which pits 2 players against each other. Now, the reason I like the pick'em games is because of these things called scorchers. There's these little chili peppers next to the golfers' names, and if you click on that, it adds to your multiplier, so you can win even more money. Sign up today with promo code Mayo and get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as an instant pick'em special. Must be 18 or over and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. All right, so we're back, usually with an underdog segment. At this point in time, I'm actually going to go in and see if they put in numbers yet. Nope, nothing. We're doing this, so nothing yet for this week. So no underdog segment on the show, but I will have my pick by Wednesday. Check my Twitter at KenNoVT, and Byron has a little bit of strategy to think about based on TPC River Highlands and what to look for underdog in round 1. My ass did not do any of that because I didn't see anything. That's why we got Byron. Byron, go ahead.
Yeah, so obviously there's tons and tons of birdies at this venue. I mean, we've seen guys get to minus 17, minus 19, so that's going to be there. If you're looking for like an average, it looks like the majority of these guys are making about 4 birdies per round. So if you're in the mood for underdog there, check that out. I think you're going to be looking for over 3.5s, under, depending on who you're looking at. Obviously, you got to all put that into perspective. And then the bogeys is about 1.5. So if you're looking for guys that are going to be making 2 bogeys or more, you got to find the guys that are really struggling on the bogey front there. So it's kind of just a simple situation this week, but I think, depending on the weather, obviously you guys need to check that out as you're going along with the week, because I think that's one of the most important factors for Underdog too. We always do the stuff on Monday because, we're sponsored by the show and we like to do that. But pay attention to the weather. If it's nice and calm, I think the birdies are looking gold. If it's going to be a little breezy, looking for guys to make it just 2 bogeys is probably where it's going to find yourself. So keep a peek there. We'll be popping our stuff out there on the X Files and seeing what we show up.
Sounds good. Let's get into our betting segment then. Why don't we go ahead, get started with you, Byron? Who you got on your card this week? Any type of cool bets? What you doing?
I'm going with Sam Burns, 35-1, 6 places each way, 5th there. So Sam's like a really good wedge player, and if you're looking to make putts to get to deep, the guy's trending, Kenny. I didn't disagree with you that he's playing good golf. I just disagreed that he plays bad golf in majors. First top 10 in a major, that is a confidence booster to me. So I'm going to take that and run with it. That's big time. The best finish he's ever had in a major was T20, now T9. And, he was, Rick, with a dagger of a tweet there, is like, his final 66 holes were basically what Bryson ended the tournament at. So tough scenes there, but I think, all of the stuff disappeared there. But I'm in on him. I'm back on Keegan again at 40. The guy is driving the golf ball so well. I think around this kind of a golf course, you got to keep it straight. You got to hit it long. He's doing all of that. So 40-1 as the defending champ. He loves to play at these golf courses that where there's pride and passion involved, Keegan Bradley shows up. He loves this area, and I think he's going to really show up here. You get a nice number as well. There's 55s out there without the each ways, but I'm in on Keegan. Pavon at 150. This dude, that's just a number grab, really, because I don't know what he's going to do this week, but at 150-1 with some each ways, hey, give it to me. I'll take it.
It's so weird that he won Riv, right? Didn't he win Riv? He won Riv in this.
No, I wanted to make a comparison. Someone said, I want more thick rough around the fairways. I was like, how's Pavon going to show up on the leaderboard? No, guess what? Pavon won a Tory, so I had to delete that.
Oh, it was Tory. It was Tory that he won. Yes.
So this dude.
It's weird that he wins on these long ass freaking courses, right? It's the opposite.
And then the following week, he went and finished 3rd, I think, at Pebble. So when he gets hot, he can do this stuff. So 150, this guy's not afraid of anybody. He hung tough in the final group of a major. When last did Pavon? We haven't seen Pavon in a major. Now the guy's final grouping it, and he's hanging tight.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you're fine. Colin Morikawa at 16-1. Since Rory WD'd, unfortunately, that number's been nuked to 12. So, or maybe I'm just the CLV king that just never makes any difference. But Colin, dude, he's never really done well here, but it's all because of the short game. This guy's the short game is a wizard now. He's going to be putting.
It's one of the best rounds of the day. 4 cuts here, right? I think he missed 3 cuts. It's strange. And the thing about this course is top 10 in stickiest course history. And so it took me off of him in cash. My initial build was Morikawa in there, right? But then I looked at his course history. I was like, yeah, I can't do that for cash. I'll still play him in GPPs. But that's why I went to Oberg. And here's my thing. So first off, Pavon, I do have to give him a lot of credit because I ended up winning my 4th round underdog. I didn't post it because I didn't want to post 4 straight losers, right? During the U.S. Open. I should have posted it. And of course, I did end up winning. And one of them was Pavon, higher than 2.5 birdies or better at Pinehurst. I don't even know what I was thinking, but I guess I had a feeling because Saturday was ripped Saturday night. And I had Bryson lower than 3.5 bogeys. That worked out. Hideki lower than 3.5 bogeys, paid 6.3 or something like that. I ended up winning a good amount of underdog, but I didn't post it. So sorry, guys. I was not feeling it after losing 3 straight in a row. But so thanks to Pavon for that. So my betting card this week, we are going to go ahead and start with Oberg. I got 20-1 with 3 places. The reason why I'm going back to him was we're starting to see Oberg start playing courses for a second time now. He's only played 1 course twice as a pro, and that was Bay Hill. I think he finished top 25 the last time, and this is the second course that he has played twice as a pro. I think he finished top 30 here last year. The guy's floor is very odd, right, on any type of course. Outside of the PGA Championship, I think he's been top 20 in the majority of his events played this year. So, and he's only $10,200. I'm sorry, we're talking about cash. I'm talking about betting. So I'm going to go ahead and use him, because he makes a ton of birdies. Really good from 400 to 450. One of the strongest guys off the tee. I think you either need length or you need accuracy here. And he has a little bit of both.
A lot of those.
Yeah. So I like Oberg a lot this week. 20 to 1, 3 places. Then I went ahead and took Tony, Mr. Finau. I got him at 30 to 1 with 8 places. The guy's just been playing well. His game's on an uptick. So I do like Tony 30 to 1. I want Brian Harman 35 to 1. 8 places. Again, course history, very, very sticky. The guy crushes this course.
So good.
He's really good, and he did really well. I thought he played extremely well at the U.S. Open this past week for a course that, maybe shouldn't have suited him that well. This course suits him. So let's go ahead and do 35 to 1 for Brian Harman. Let's go 50 to 1 for Tom Kim. In the last 24 rounds on short courses, he's one of the best top 5 players in this field. The guy plays well on shorter courses. You saw him near the top of the leaderboard at the U.S. Open, the first page for a minute before he sort of melted down a little bit on the weekend. You've seen glimpses of him starting to improve his game, being on an upswing. I like him 50 to 1. Then I got I got Ben Griffin 100 to 1. Just really a model darling for me. Like when I look down at his price at $6,800, and I'm like, this guy's in my top 10. In my model, I'm like, what the fuck? And you look at it, he's had some really, really strong finishes in the last 6 events. I'll take him at 100 to 1 with 8 places. And then I got Putnam, 160 to 1 with 8 places. Another guy who plays this course well. Any other bets that you got? Any top 20s or anything like that?
Yep. I'm going to give you guys, as always, the teasers because I'm going to do all of them on my show on Mayo Media Network, which thank you all for showing up for that for the US Open. Really appreciate all of you doing that on Tuesdays at 7 Eastern, back 9 bets over my right-hand shoulder over here. But we went to Scotty for the top 10 last week at minus 190. I'm going to do the minus 125 top 5 this week. Ties paid in full. Nice little edge there. Scotty Scheffler's been crushing that market. Anytime Scotty Scheffler plays a golf tournament, I'm going to the top 5 or the top 10 market for him. He's been a cash cow in that department. I think just had a rough week. I think we're getting a nice little odds relief here touch after a poor performance at the US Open. Let's go there. And we were just chatting about Xander Schauffele and how he's just repping out top 10s. I'm going to go back to Xander at minus 130 for a top 10. I'm doing negative odds here, folks, because I want to prove to you guys that their odds are fine. Like you can
parlay those. Would you think about doing something like that with 2 guys who hit those numbers so often? Would you think about a parlay for those 2?
Not necessarily.
No.
I think you'd also have to bet Scotty at the top 10 side of things as well to get. Most places won't let you parlay top 5, top 10s. You got to parlay the same odd like the markets.
Oh, okay. I don't bet that way, so I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, neither do I. I was just doing it to have some fun earlier in the show, but now that we're kind of showing a few more bets here, I think I'd rather just rip them at each kind of situation. But at the same time, if one of them misses, you're likely going to lose your money anyway. So if you're just laying one unit, you can parlay them too if you're in the mood for that. It's up to you guys. But I figured those 2 guys are very solid options. And then plus 170 for a top 20, Tom Hoge. If you think about a golf course that you're just repping out iron shots and making putts, Tom Hoge, man, like this is what the guy does. And he's one of the best top 20 returners in this field. So I'll be breaking down all of Tom Hoge's numbers for you guys on my show on Tuesday at 7 o'clock. And going into that, and I'll be looking at a few more bets as we go through some matchups. And Jesus Christ, my farewell fivers, Kenny. I had a farewell fiver with Sepp Straka in it, and it's where I have a 4-person 3-ball parlay, and Sepp lost to somebody by 1 shot. He hit the flag and made a triple from hitting the flag. That was the only person that lost my bet for me that day.
Oh, yeah.
He was going from, he did make a hole-in-one the following, later on that round, but if you think about how the math works out, at the triple, he misses the flag, he makes par or a birdie. That's 3 shots right there. If he doesn't hit the ace, that's a par or a birdie. That's 1 or 2 shots. So I think he still would have won that thing. It was just a brutal break. I don't think I've ever been more nauseous about a guy that sucked it up off hitting a flag and making a triple. So tough scenes there, but I'll be looking at guys like that going into the week. So tune in. We'll get all those bets out there for you guys.
All right, so I'm going to put this on here a little bit. So one and done. We haven't really been talking about that for the last month or so. Maybe I've been doing it on purpose because I've been doing pretty well. I hit Bryson on the Mayo this past week, so I'm inside the top 350 in that.
Damn, you hit Bryson. Nice.
And then I think I've had like 4 or 5 winners this year. And then in the Slider Cup, it's a bunch of guys, local guys here in the DMV area. A lot of some local radio guys, some newspaper guys, and then just some regular fans of said radio guys and said newspaper guys. I'm in first in that league. Yeah, so a couple $1,000, money there, and so I had Bryson and Cam Smith this past week, so not bad. I'm having troubles here. Listen, trying to figure out something. Who would you go with one and done this week? I would like to get your opinion.
I don't think I've played Ludwig yet. I love Ludwig on these shorter courses, Kenny. I didn't bet him because I went with Colin. I should have, I'm kind of having a bit of regret. I might go and chase down a big number on Ludwig with the 3 places each way and try and pop him on my card and just
That's what I got, the 20-1 with 3 places.
I might just follow you on that and see what happens to my return. But he leads the tour in birdies made from 125 to 150. Despite being a really poor wedge player, this guy can putt, man. And when it comes to just absolutely dialing in that drive on these short courses, dude, he's so sexy when it comes to that situation. So I like him a lot. And then I was kind of thinking Tom Kim could be a little sleeper situation, down the odds board there.
Yeah, I was thinking I'm going to use Tom Kim as my so in the Slider Cup, you have to play someone American and someone non-American. So I think I'm going to go Tom with non-American. I was thinking Headley. I'm not going to use him again. But the guys I have left are not great. The best players I have left American are Xander, Wyndham, Clark, Badia, Denny, Kirk, Poston, Hoagie, and Henley. It's not great, especially with 9 events still left. And then for the Euros or for the non-Americans, I have Hovland, Sungjae, Pavan, Hatton, Minwoo, Lowry, Rio, and Tom Kim. A little bit better than the Americans. But I want to save Xander for the turn. I want to save Xander and Hovland for
TOC
and for the end.
FedEx
right?
Cup.
Yeah, for the FedEx Cup. So I got to figure it out. I'm leaning Henley and Tom Kim. We'll see how that goes.
And you're also in the lead though, Kenny. So you can just
I'm in the lead
block everyone.
So the way they do it, they don't do it by money in that league. They do it by finish position. So I think Cam finished 32nd. Bryson finished first. So I got 33 points. Person with the lowest amount of points wins. I'm 130 points up right now.
Okay. So designated events don't even matter either then for you?
No, they don't.
Okay.
They don't.
Okay.
So that's how it goes. But anyways. Oh, and also one more thing before we move on to the course. Let's talk about this. Did I tell you that we were mentioned in the Washington Post today?
No, you did not.
So the podcast was definitely mentioned in the Washington Post. Shout out to Danny Funt, who is a writer at the Washington Post talking about gambling in the U.S. Open. He interviewed me a couple of weeks ago. So if you want to go check that out on my Twitter feed, we actually got a mention in the Washington Post.
Let's go.
Pretty fucking crazy, right? When I started this show 10 years ago, never would have expected it to be pushed in the sports section of the Washington Post. So really cool little milestone for our show here. All right, so that's enough. We're about an hour into the pod. We haven't even talked about this week. So let's go ahead and talk about the Travelers, the PGA Tour. Moves to Cromwell, Connecticut for the Travelers Championship from TPC River Highlands. I wouldn't worry too much about potential weariness after playing the U.S. Open, as there have been a few recent winners who have performed well at the U.S. Open and have played well again at the Travelers. I also wouldn't worry about golfers that emceed last week, as 5 of the last 11 winners here emceed in the event prior, including Keegan Bradley at the U.S. Open last year before his win. Recently since the event moved to after the U.S. Open, all 3 of the 4 winners have finished inside the top 15 at the U.S. Open, right? So the only person that didn't was last year, was Keegan. So I don't know if you could really put that into account. If Rory was playing, which he's not anymore, then maybe that's the only guy I wouldn't play, right? Because of all the shit that's going on in his head. But I'm not going to look into weariness or fatigue or anything like that, because it really hasn't affected any of this in the last 4 years since it moved to the week after the U.S. Open. Now, normally this course doesn't just favor long hitters, as seen by the playoff in 2010 between Bubba Watson, super long, Corey Pavin, one of the shortest hitters out there, and Scott Verplank, who was like medium length guy. With a victory by Ken Duke a decade ago, Russell Knox 1 year in 2016, Ches won in 2019, Furyk shot 58 here. You could go both ways at this course. You can either bomb it down there or you're going to hit fairways. It's got to be one of the two, because if you bomb it out there, you're going to have sand wedge, 60 degree, into the greens really easy. If you're accurate, you're going to have 9-iron, right? And you're going to be able to get it up there. So you got to have one of the two. So personally, I'm looking at strokes gained off the tee in general. I don't care if you're accurate. I don't care if you're long. You just got to be good in that strokes gained off the tee category, personally, from what I'm looking for. There have been some course changes since we played last year. Rory mentioned that this course is becoming obsolete. And so, of course, the PGA went out there like, we got to change this shit. Because they know it has to be a signature event every year, because it is the second most attended PGA Tour event, right behind Waste Management. You're going to see 250,000 people out there this week, maybe even more. And so, they want that to be special. And so, it's really one of the only tournaments in the Northeast also. So, a big golfing population there. They're going to make this a signature event probably every year. And so what they did this past year is, they changed 6 holes, really. Made a couple of the fairways more narrow, made a few of the greens more smaller. And then they added, they were thinking about adding more bunkers and landing zones and looking at the shot tracker stuff. But what they realized is, fairway bunkers aren't really a hazard anymore. So what they decided to do is they added these chocolate mounds into certain areas by the fairway, around the bunkers and stuff like that. So if golfers miss in those areas, not only do they have to deal with 4-inch thick rough, they're going to have to deal with uneven lines. Now, is this going to make the course hard? Keegan won a 23 last year, right? I think the winner's still going to be 20 under. 20 under. I don't think it's good. I was listening to Andy Lack's podcast, one of the best course preview podcasts that you can listen to out there. Go ahead and listen to that. He says he thinks that, it might play a quarter of a stroke more difficult around. That's what he said. And this guy's, of course, savant. Yeah. And so I would trust what he says. So I don't think it's going to make too big of a difference, but we shall see. Now, again, some couple of things. Accuracy off the tee and solid around the green game is going to be needed, but most agree, it's a wedge fest that comes down here. And looking at golfers that excel from like 100 to 150 should be a good way to go. If you're targeting longer hitters, again, we focus on 100 to 125. Shorter hitters, 125 to maybe 175. Something like that. Also looking big at green and regulation stats. Golfers with strong green and regulation stats coming into the event have had success here in the past. One other thing about this event is that most of the time the morning wave has an advantage due to the softer conditions, smoother greens. It is a POA greens, not West Coast POAs. It's not going to be like crazy bumpy like in the afternoon like West Coast, but it's not going to be as smooth as it is in the morning. It's something to think about if you're playing showdown, if you're making first round leader bets. The afternoon wave here usually is always a bit lower scoring than the PM wave. A couple of things. 5 of the last 11 winners of the Travelers coming into the week. We're coming into the week off a missed cut, like I just spoke about. 7 of the last 9 winners. 8 of the last 10 winners of the Travelers have posted at least a top 30 in a previous year at this event prior to their win. Again, top 10 in course history stickiness on tour. Now, let's get to the meat of the course. River Highlands, 6,850 yards. And so when they redid the course this past year, didn't change the distance. Still 6,850 yard par 70 peak die redesigned course, 2 par 5s, 4 par 3s. The par 5 6 is the longest of the 2 par 5s, but will still be reachable by the big hitters. Par 5 13th, much shorter. Almost all golfers will be able to reach into. The par 4 15th, very short par 4, under 300 yards. And we will see some golfers reach the green on their tee shots here. Hopefully, we'll see. All three of these holes have close to a 40% birdie percentage. If golfers par any of these holes, are going to be losing strokes to the field. As being a par 70 course, par 4 play will be more important, with previous winners all doing well on the 48 par 4s for the week. Golfers will see average size from the fairways that get substantially more narrow after the 300-yard mark off the tee. Bunkers and trees will be in play if they miss the short grass. These fairways are some of the easiest to hit on tour, as nearly 70% of all shots find the fairway. But as you saw with Bubba winning a few years, like a decade ago, he only hit 50% of fairways, and he still won. You can get away with missing the short grass here, especially if you have length off the tee and aren't missing too wildly in the trees and stuff like that. If golfers do miss the fairway, the first cut of rough, not too thick and playable, but the further the golfer misses the fairway by, the thicker and taller the rough is going to get. And that's something going back to Pioneers that didn't like. Like, if you just miss the fairway there, you're in like a bunch of wiregrass. If you miss the fairway by a shit ton, you're fine. I didn't like that about that course. Yes. They need to fill that in more over there agree. On when you miss wild. But on this course, the wilder you miss, the more trouble you're going to be in, which is the way it should be, right? Now, unlike other events with tall, thick, rough, the greens at TPC River Highlands are softer and more receptive, so it won't be a total disaster if golfers miss the fairway. And since the course is so short, they should be hitting in their approaches with a short iron. The greens are slightly below average in size, except for the long par 3 holes. They're also multi-tiered with a bit of slope, and a lot of are elevated and crowns, not like last week, but they do have some crowning in their edges. There's not too much undulation to these greens, but they do usually put the pin in a place where there is some slope, so they don't have golfers shooting minus 30 for the week if the conditions are soft. They also put pin locations in very close proximity to the edge of greens, so golfers can have very tricky chip shots if they short side themselves. Scrambling from the rough is actually pretty difficult here at TPC River Highland, which annually ranks in the top 10 hardest courses on tour when it comes to chipping from the rough. Even though the greens are small, nearly 67% of all approaches still find the greens at TPC River Highland, which is above tour average just by a little. So even with the previous stat, I wouldn't put a ton of emphasis on the short game. If golfers miss the green, they will have to deal with collection areas, thick rough, water, and numerous bunkers. The greens use a POA bentgrass blend, I think. I've heard something where it's just POA. I think it's a POA bentgrass blend, but either way,
that's what I've read.
This type of POA plays more like bent. Okay, this is not your West Coast bumpy, weird, moving with the sun type, California POA. All right. So if you're looking at like putting stats, I wouldn't even look at POA because you're going to get the wrong information there. So I would probably look more at bentgrass. Water, okay. And so the stim meter rating only around 11 or 12. Water in play in about a third of the holes, including a huge pond that surrounds holes 15, 16, and 17. Byron, what are you looking for in golfers this week?
Yeah, the only thing that's different for me and you, Kenny, is I'm going to weigh around the green play a little bit more. That's pretty much my only difference. I'm a big correlations guy. My numbers tell me that around the green play correlates a bit better this week. So nothing too crazy. I think you nailed it all. 125 to 175 for the proximity numbers there for me. Looking for guys that's about half the shots this week from 125 to 175. So love that range there. And, that's why I like Sam Burns. So do it.
Let's go ahead.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Let's get to these tiers. Let's talk about them. We got Oberg all the way up to Scotty, Rory just withdrew. What are you doing this week?
I think I'm looking and I don't think I'm going to get that 20, Kenny, since Rory WD'd. I'm going to have to probably lean into the Oberg and I like him a lot, and I might just go all in on him at 10 too. Really fancy his chances on these shorter. Think about the RSM. Think about the John Deere Classic. Before he was really OG Oberg, he was doing good stuff on these shorter courses. So he's my number one guy. Although he doesn't rank out that way, I think his price is $2,300.
RSM, right?
Yep. And dude, he loves these short positions. Like his best driving performances don't necessarily come at Torrey and Riv, they come at RSM, John Deere Classic, those kind of places. That's what Ludwig does. Think about Pebble. Those kind of places are where he thrives.
And the thing is, at this course, a lot of golfers use more driver than you would expect.
Yes.
Especially recently. Like if you look at the top 5 percentage, the guys who finished top 5, I mean, the last like 4 or 5, 6 years, it's been a lot of driver use.
Yeah.
Here, a lot more than it was a decade ago. But again, shorter hitters, I think, still have a path to win this event. And I think actually, even with this elevated field, with all these strong elite guys, I think this is the most, this tournament has the most guys who can win. I think, usually when you're looking at these elevated events, maybe half have had you could say these guys can win. I think it's like 3/4 of this field can actually come in here and do well on this course.
Yeah, which is what I thought was going to be last week kind of thing. But hey, Ludwig also number 1 off the tee on shorter courses, less than 7,200 yards. So that's, checks out perfectly there. I love him a lot. I'll probably just, I don't know, I'm probably just going to lock him in, and maybe I'll sprinkle in Scotty and Xander as I see fit. I've bet them already. Leave them alone. What you doing?
I'm probably going 40 Scheffler, 40 Xander, and then Oberg's my cash game cornerstone. So 20 of him is the way I'm going to go. I'm going to play all 3 of these guys. Again, the 9K range is okay. There's some guys, but there's only 3 guys in this 10K range. And Scheffler's not 12.5. What do you think Scheffler's ownership is going to be?
Well, 5, it's a no-cut event, right, as well, for a signature.
So, no cut. Yeah, he was 40 plus in even big tournaments last week.
Yeah, I think we probably same-ish, maybe a little bit less.
If he's above like 35, I might not play him again, just because I don't know, because I won't be able to get the leverage that I want, right? Because if he's like 35, 40%, I want to be like double the field at minimum on guys.
And you can't play Xander. Yeah.
Then I can't play Xander, basically, is what it comes down to. And Xander looks like he's just as geared up as Scotty is. Maybe not with the win equity, but, top 5, top 10 potential is there. And Scotty, you don't know. I think it was a one-off last week with Scotty, but who knows? Maybe something's wrong. Go ahead, go.
And Scotty's also not the greatest wedge player. He's a good wedge. He's a safe wedge player. If you take a look at his good shot rate with wedges, it's not up there. But his safety with the wedges, like he's never going to make a mistake, but he's never going to really like fire at pins that are like kind of boneheaded positions. So I like a bit more Ludwig there. That's kind of it, man. It's pretty simple for me. I think I'm just going all the way in on him this week.
Yeah, I like Oberg, cash game cornerstone. Like I said, this is the second time he's seen the course. That hasn't happened very often. The guy's floor is extremely high. I have no problem. And he's 10,200 seems cheap.
Very
very cheap. And so I had to use him. I thought about Xander. If you want to use Xander in cash, I got no problem with it. But it was a lot easier for me to make this lineup. I don't think I only have 1 golfer under $7,900 in my cash lineup as of now. Mm-hmm. So, it doesn't make it easy. Let's go down to this 9K range. So you're going to play Morikawa, right? Even though his course history is garbage. What are you going to do with Cant?
No. Cantley, and the reason why he's always struggled, Jay, is he's mid-irons. Those wedges, those 8 irons. How many times did he flare out a 9-iron on Sunday? That's when
I thought his irons looked okay. I thought he had more trouble with the longer shots, and I'm thinking about using him this week because he has done okay at this course in the past. But I don't know. Would you rather go Hovland or Cantlay this week?
I likely think Hovland will be less owned than Cantlay. I think everyone's going to be kind of jumping onto Cantlay's recent form that he's found. Whether or not that is going to continue through this all, I don't know. And it's an ownership game, right? So I think if we're projecting ownership this week, I think Hovland is the way to go there. But neither of those 2 guys really excite me this week. I think Cantlay will be quite popular. So I'll be playing Colin, and then Sam Burns will be my second guy at 9K.
I like Decky. The guy, when Decky's hot, you play Decky when it's hot. He's hot right now.
I don't know if he'll get to minus 17 though, Kenny.
Yeah.
Minus 20.
The thing about it is, you're right, but he's still top 20 in this field in birdies or better percentage in the last, 24 rounds. And, like 12 of those have been majors, right? So I guess I could see your point in what you're saying when it comes down to it. Now,
I'd probably play Hovland instead of him then,
I could see that. We'll have to think about Lindeque, because when you do look at him in short courses, right, he's like almost dead last in this field, birdie or better percentage. So he's iffy. I don't know. I liked him more when I first woke up this morning, of like looking through everything. Now that I'm looking through his numbers a little bit more deeply, I'm not necessarily sure. But I'm going to play Morikawa. I'm going to play Burns. Those are the two guys that I'm definitely going to play in this range. Tommy, any flop lag for Tommy? Again, I don't think he's going to be very popular.
Tommy's like, meh. This dude is just, God damn it, just finishing 13th all the freaking time.
He's like, the only guy worse than Hideki at birdie or better percentage in short courses.
Yeah.
Inside, and this is going all the way down to 7,000s. So in 8,000s and up, the two worst golfers at birdie or better percentage in this field in the last 24 rounds played is Fleetwood and Hideki. So,
and the best thing Tommy does is around the green. And like you said, he's only going to get that one in every 3 holes potentially, so,
So this makes it a lot easier for me to play 3 of the studs up top.
Yeah.
Because all 3 of the 10K and up guys play Morikawa, play Burns, and then you can make whatever types of lineups you like. Now, when you're going into the 8K range, I like a lot of these guys. Finau, like I said, I already have the bet on him. Tee to green, he's been really, really good for a long time now. He just hasn't been able to put it all together in a single event. And we saw, glimpses at the U.S. Open this past week. He's had some good top finishes. I do like Finau, of course. I bet him as well. Now, Russell Henley and Brian Harman are going to be chalk. Are you playing both, one or the other, or neither?
I might play a bit of Henley. There's Brian Harman. A chalk Harman has left a chalk outline on the floor for many, many lineups. I just don't trust him as a chalk guy, even though he's likely been chalk coming into this tournament many, many times. At $8,300, I get it. Maybe in the cash game world, Kenny, I think that's the way to potentially play him. But, I think he could easily be the most owned option in this sub 10K range.
Yeah, I'm going Henley and Harman in cash. Here's the thing, it just makes my lineup where I can have 5 guys that I think can win. Harman and Henley both play this course extremely well. Harman's a major winner. He can compete in these big boy events. Henley's come close recently a bunch in the last year and a half. Their games, of course, both fit this course. They both have dominated this course for a while. I mean, it's not just 1 or 2 outings. It's years upon years upon years of very, very good playing at TPC River Highlands. So I'm going to go ahead and take the course history bug and use both of those guys in cash. Now for GPPs, I like Corey Connors, right? I know you talked a few weeks ago. He has a top 10 this year, back-to-back top 10s.
That's all I need to say for guys is just never had a top 10. Rattle them off.
There you go. Back-to-back top 10s out there. He puts himself on the Olympic team.
Hell yes.
Edges out Hadwin with his performance yesterday at the U.S. Open. The guy's got to be riding high. Again, accurate off the tee, good with his irons. I'll go ahead. I like Corey Connors. Tom Kim is actually my final cash game cornerstone. So there we go. So 4 cash game cornerstones. Tom, again, when it comes to short courses, he's top 5 in my model this week. He tends to play these shorter courses well. Like I said, during the betting segment, he is trending upwards near the top of the leaderboard. Last week at the U.S. Open, he's young. He's not going to be tired. I like Tom. So my 4 cash game cornerstones for this week are going to be Oberg at $10,200. The 2 course history guys, Russell Henley at 86, Brian Harman at 83, Tom Kim at 81. Who do you like in this 8K range?
Yeah, I love Tom Kim as a pivot off of Henley and Harman. I think slightly cheaper. Also, Tom Kim was gaining 2.25 strokes on approach through the first 3 rounds at the U.S. Open and then had a bit of a clunker coming in. But this guy's fiery. He's going to make tons and tons of birdies. We've seen when this guy's putter gets rolling, He can win these TPC Summerlin type venues where things get super low. He's hyper accurate off the tee. He's a really good wedge player. I love what Tom Kim can do for us here at this price, Kenny. Big fan. Corey Connors for me. I think when you mentioned him, if you think about the Memorial, you think about the RBC Canadian, if you think about the US Open, those are all very tough venues. Corey's ultimate weakness is making putts, and I think you're going to have to make a lot of them, despite being one of the best iron players in the field. I think he's probably going to land up a little outside the top 10 again, but that I'm obviously no Corey Connors whisperer over here, so take that with a grain of salt. Yeah, Tom Kim for me. I'll be playing either Russell Henley and I'll definitely be playing Keegan Bradley and Sehith for sure. Those two guys are.
Spieth?
Nope. No,
I mean, look,
I think
top 10 in strokes gained off the tee at the U.S. Open.
Mm-hmm. It's all good for him there, and it makes a lot of sense. That's a wrist injury off the tee, Kenny. There's no impact through the ground. Think about what's going to be around these greens. Think about what's going to be off these fairways.
Yeah.
You know, like that's going to be an injury waiting to happen for him. Unless the ownership is solid. You know, like, again, don't get on that Spieth roller coaster unless you're like the only one that can throw up on yourself there. You don't want other people throwing up on you.
I like that. Don't get on the Spieth roller coaster unless you're by yourself. That makes sense to me. I like that. This 7K range, man, I'm struggling here. Who do you like?
Wyndham Clark is just like a system play if he's low owned.
Well, he has this course is his worst course for iron play in the history of his career.
For Wyndham?
Yeah. There's no course he has hit irons worse at in his career than TPC River Highlands.
Okay. Wyndham Clark is no longer a system play for me.
I thought about it too. Like at that price, I was like, man, what the fuck, right? I got the 7,900. But then I saw that stat, I was like, yeah.
Goddamn. Yeah.
Like if it was good form coming in, that would be one thing.
Yes.
All right.
But it's also DFS though, Kenny.
What?
It's DFS is going to have like 3% owned.
Yeah.
You know, like this guy's got one of the highest.
I really wanted to use him in a one and done. And I was like, nope.
No, you're in the right position. He's not a play for you. He's a play for me in one and done because I forgot to do multiple entries in one and done and submit my guys. So that's my kind of world. I love Benny On in a big way over here. You know, this dude, he just does his thing. No, there's no course that can tame old Benny. And I think he's going to do his thing. Bezzy. Oh, boy. Bezzy and Poston down here. Kenny. Those two guys.
I like those guys. I like the low 7K guys. There's plenty I like. It's that mid-range to high. I can't find guys that I want to play. Like the
Adam Scott, maybe.
The only guy I know I'm playing is Sungjae. And I'm playing Sungjae, flop lag from last week. One of the best in the field in short courses. I think he's second in my model.
Yeah.
When it comes to short course, under 7,200 yards. Last week, probably too long for him. It wasn't great. So I can give that a pass. But other than that, he's had like 4 top 10s in his last like 6 events.
Yeah, he's balling out, and it's not majors for him. He's bad in majors, so ignore that.
He's horrible in majors. I just want to. I'm using him in cash. That's how much I like him. I'm going double Korea in cash.
Let's go.
We could Tom and Sungjae. So you got 5 of my cash game plays right now, and I already spoke about my final cash game play, who is one of my bets. So you can figure that one out on your own. But yeah, I mean, like Sungjae, I'm playing, and then I don't have anyone else clicking the LSC Benny Ann. I do like Benny Ann. I do like Denny McCarthy. I think these are the type of courses where Denny can just put his ass off and he can still do well. I do like him. Bez. I thought about it, but he's missed 5 cuts here. Like I can in a place where it's like course history is so sticky. I think he's missed 4 cuts. When a place is like, and you look at his recent form and it's really, really good, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know if I can jump on it. Like, if he had just sucked in like 1 or 2 times, right, at this course, I would be all over. I mean, but he sucked like every single fucking time he's played this goddamn course. And so I don't know.
The thing is, he's 7th for me at like, I use TPC Sawgrass, TPC Deer Run, TPC Twin Cities. Those are the kind of courses. Innisbrook, Copperhead. Those are kind of calm courses for me. He's 7th in this field, Kenny, in those kind of courses. So at some point, he's got to figure it out this week. And if the ownership's high and he's had bad history here, then I'm out. But if he's a leverage option, I'm down to kind of find guys that have new games.
I like that thinking.
You know, so same thing as the roller coaster, basically. But yeah.
Well, Poston, Horschel, Bhatia, English, Hoagie. Like, I'll play all of those guys.
Solid options. Yeah.
Like the lower 7K range is no problem. That's why it's no problem doing a 12-5 Scotty. But like that mid to upper 7K range, I don't think I'm going to be the only one who does not like this range. Like, you can find a play that you like, $7,500 to $7,900. I would go a little bit harder on those guys because you can get a good amount of fucking leverage in this range, because I think everyone's thinking the same thing. I'm thinking, like, who the fuck do you play from 7,500 to 79?
Reach.
So that's something that you guys playing DFS, think about. 6K range. There's guys here, man. Pavon, 6,900. Ben Griffin, I already bet him. Would be my final cash game cornerstone or my final cash game play. I don't know. But both of those guys over there, Lucas Glover, another guy who plays well on shorter courses. Victor Perez, Svensson, Putnam, Grillo. Like, I could play these guys, no problem.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's going to be easy to play some Scheffler. One guy who I think I'm going to play, who's just been playing like straight doo-doo stain for like 4 months, ever since he got married. Eric Cole. $6,300. Like, short course, like, if Eric Cole's ever going to do something again, this is the course.
This
I agree is the course. Now, he could just be done, right? It could just be like a flash in the pan, you know what I'm saying? And he's out of here again in the next year or so. But if he's here to stay, right? Because people go through ups and downs all the time on the PGA Tour, right? It's a normal thing. If he's going to stay, this is the course where I think he can get shit done. I don't think he's going to be very highly owned, and I'm going to go ahead and use him as like a pretty big play in my 6K range, hoping that he can catch some type of fire on these type of courses.
Yes. I mean, and the thing is, Kenny, there's an obvious reason why he's playing bad. It's because he got married. Like, it's since that happened, this has happened now. So, like, sometimes when that happens, maybe he finally...
Look what happened to Rory. Gets divorced, wins the Wells Fargo, gets back with the wife, misses 2 3-footers to you.
That kind of stuff. But we'll see what cooks. I love Victor Perez. Seamus Power as well on these shorter courses. I love Seamus Power on these short courses. Big time that way. Brendan Todd, $6,000 flat.
I played him.
No. That's what's screaming to me. And Grillo's starting to find some form again. He also thrives. If you think about the Charles Schwab, it's a bit more difficult than this, but similar kind of layout. I think. And Grillo can putt, baby. That's his best metric, so that helps a lot this week too. So give me Grillo, and then maybe you find a few little Cameron Davis in my lineups here and there on these shorter courses at $6,300.
Honestly, I like Cameron Davis more when you got a long iron in your hand. So I don't think I could play him this week. But Svenny down here, like if you look at the short courses, there are some guys in here that rate very. Brendan Todd's top 20, Eric Cole top 10, right down here. Svensson top 25, Power top 25. This is Glover 15th. This is my model where I'm looking at approach, putting, tee to green, birdies to better gain. A little bit around the green, 100 to 125, 125 to 150, 150 to 175, strokes gain off the tee, par 4 efficiency, 400 to 450, a shit ton of par 4s in that range. That's what I'm looking at, and I'm looking at under 7,200 yards. Last 24 rounds, all these guys are top 25 that are just spat out in this field, right? This is not a shitty field, right? So they're in the top half, some in the top 10, top 15 in these type of courses. So you can find some plays down here, no doubt. And that's what I was saying earlier. When it comes to this course, I think more people have a chance at winning this elevated event than any other elevated event that we're going to see this season. I think this is the last one, actually. If I'm not mistaken. This is the final one. But I think there's more people in this event. I don't mind going down to the 6K range. I don't mind picking these guys. I think some of these guys can be on the top of the leaderboard. Like I said, I bet Ben Griffin, I bet Andrew Putnam. There's guys down here that you can definitely use. So, I mean, shit, Scotty's inner lineups are not like, they're going to be hard, but they're not like out of the question. Or Scotty Oberg, a little bit easier, right? Or Xander Oberg, a lot easier.
Yeah.
I mean, like, a couple of those studs up top to start your lineup, not difficult this week.
Yeah.
I do think that's the way it's going to go, right? with a lot of guys going out top. And it's sort of weird because usually that's the way my cash lineup would go, but I'm totally opposite. I'm straight, what's the word where it's just balanced, straight balance. I go from Oberg down to Sung Jae is my top 5. That's it.
Right? Yeah. I love it. I love that, Kenny. Yeah.
Anything else before we move on for this 2-hour pod?
Nope. I think the people have heard more than enough for both of us, so I think I've said my pieces.
All right. Tell them where they can find you.
At the Model Maniac on X, baby. And then catch me at Back 9 Bets on Tuesdays on Mayo Media Network at 7 o'clock Eastern. And then everything at rotoballer.com. That's going to be where you can find all my models, where you can find all my bets, where you can find all that jazz, everything you could wish for over there, and use code Maniac while you're busy doing that nonsense.
Find me on X at KennoVT. Find my article every week on gupscorner.com. Use promo code Kenny. Save yourself 30% on a sub to Gups Corner. Week after a major should be a down week, but not for us because we're the fantasy golf degenerates, motherfuckers. Let's win some goddamn money.